And good evening, everyone. This is the Sports Adrenaline Show. We are live from Las Vegas, and on tonight's docket, the Vegas Golden Knights are playing the third of a 7-game homestand. Having split the first 2 games, the game has started. It's underway. We'll give you updates. It's at T-Mobile Arena here locally against the Edmonton Oilers. Will Las Vegas be hosting the 2019 or the 2020 NFL Draft? Some big news. It could happen. Our city named one of the 5 finalists. We were at the Las Vegas Stadium Authority today, meeting today, and we will bring you all of the latest happenings and an update on what went on there. We have news from the Raider Nation ahead. Also, the UNLV Runnin Rebels, they're starting to get hot, right, at just about the right time, having won 5 of their last 6 after beating Air Force on Wednesday night. The Las Vegas Lights, they fell to the Montreal Impact of the MLS, and that was the opening exhibition game last week for the franchise. A lot of fun. And the Las Vegas 51s are about to break ground for their new facility, plus much, much more. Welcome aboard. I'm Tony Cardasco. Matt Gutierrez is here. Haley Brooks is here with Haley's comments. Luis Negretti is off. Rick Strasser, John Castanino playing hooky at the Golden Knights game, and Richard Giacovino producing. How's it going, everyone?
Doing good.
Yeah, Edmonton, Edmonton, and I think that Haley just abbreviates Edmonton to EDM because of her affinity for electronic dance music.
I thought that was you. You're the one that takes a helicopter into EDC and then stays there until 4 in the morning and has the chance to fly out with Paris Hilton. That's not my life.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I ducked out. I did not get on that helicopter.
Oh, sorry. You chose not to get on a helicopter with Paris Hilton. My mistake.
Yes, that could have been a nightmare. Good Valentine's Day, Haley. I bet you're the type of woman that would spend Valentine's Day night listening to like some Backstreet Boys music.
Yeah, I just can't get enough of the Backstreet Boys, and just really, really wanted to go yesterday since I invited you guys and none of you had any interest.
I had a date with UNLV basketball last night.
That was his date.
Jeez, him and John. Oh my goodness. So hey, if you want to get some feedback give us some feedback on the show and get some of Haley's comments, that's why we call her segment Haley's Comments, hit us up on Facebook. Just drop us a line and let us know what's going on out there. We'll keep you up to date as well on everything happening with the Golden Knights game. And speaking of which, in the knighthood, VGK on the ice tonight. They're already having faced off, if that's the correct terminology.
They dropped the puck, Tony.
They did drop the puck, and they're at T-Mobile Arena against the Edmonton Oilers as we speak. And this is the 3rd game of the homestand. Golden Knights coming off of a solid effort against the fading Chicago Blackhawks, a team that they swept this season, 3-0 with 3 different goaltenders in net. And it was the 20th come-from-behind victory of the season for Vegas. So that was, again, quite the explosion. We see during spurts that this team is very explosive, and they can just erupt for, it seems like 3 goals at a time, right?
Yeah,
2, 3.
Yeah, this team, we know what they're capable of when they play their game, and their game is much like we want to see out of the Runnin Rebels, transition, up tempo, fast kind of game.
No turnovers. No turnovers.
Yeah. We'll get into that later, but you want to see this team get out and run essentially, and they're better when they're aggressive. They're better when they're going forward, and they're better in transition. And I don't know what it is about this team, but they have this moment or two in certain games and certain periods where once they get 1, they get 2, they get 3. It's funny. I tweeted out at the beginning of the 3rd period. My daughter says we need to see one of those 3 goals in 1 minute kind of things from them. My daughter's only 9 and she understands what this team is capable of doing. And sure enough, they get that first goal on the power play that had carried over from the end of the 2nd period, and then right after that you got Riley Smith in transition on a nice turnover in the neutral zone, and then Perron right after that. So just bang, 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 and all of a sudden it's a 4-2 game. All the momentum has switched over. Chicago's hanging their heads, and empty net goal seals it at the end. Thomas Nosek back on the ice after injury. So the team is capable of putting together these really quick, explosive stretches where they just bury you because it's such a barrage in such a short amount of time.
One of the turning points, of that game was when Marc-Andre Fleury came out of net and he took down the Blackhawks player Tommy Wingels, and he just flipped him over. He came out of net almost up to the blue line.
Yeah, and I mean, looked like he was taking his legs out essentially, but Fleury made a great play on the puck, got a stick on the puck, and kind of slid underneath Wingle. But Gallant, funny after the game, he said, yeah, we don't want to see that, but that's how Fleury plays, and we understand that he knows what he's doing and he's good enough to handle that. But you don't ever want to see your goalie that far out, especially making contact like that. The last thing we need, especially with Subban now being on IR, we don't need to see Fleury go back on IR.
Yeah, and we're starting to wonder what the real story is with Malcolm Subban. They said that he was injured, and first they said an upper body injury, and now they're saying it could be a hand injury. And he deleted all of his social media.
Deleted all his social media,
which is crazy.
It's a week to week thing.
And yeah, they say week to week, not day to day.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a trade deadline coming up in 11 days.
Uh-huh.
So, who knows? I mean, I think he's a very tradable piece. One of the more tradable pieces on this team right now, because you saw what he was able to do. He's still very young. He still has a lot of room to grow. And I think the organization might be a little higher on Oscar Dansk going forward than they are on Malcolm Subban. Dansk just got assigned to the Chicago Wolves.
Yeah, he's in net tonight.
Yeah, he's in net tonight. He's gonna get some ice time for the first time in a few months now. After playing only 3+ games with the Knights and doing really well, 3-0 in those games. So it'll be. I'm curious to see what he looks like on the ice, how he bounces back, and whether or not they send Legacy back down and up comes Dansk.
Yeah, and Dansk and Chicago and the Wolves, they were leading by 1 goal. We'll get you an update as the show continues here tonight. The Oilers come into play tonight, having lost 4 games in a row, but they have VGK's number with the biggest, most lopsided loss for VGK, 8-2 in the one game, and then the shootout, 3-2 final. But they're 0-2. Connor McDavid is just exceptional. I mean, what else can you say? But the Oilers are expected to become sellers at next week's trade deadline, which is on February the 26th.
Well, the Oilers were supposed to have a great season. They were supposed to be one of the better teams in the league, and you have to attribute a lot of that to McDavid. Obviously, he's one of, if not the best players in the NHL, definitely the fastest player in the NHL. But just a really disappointing season for them so far. I don't know that you can put much stock into that first game up in Edmonton because Legacy was in net. They ended up even going to who was our 5th goalie at the time? I can't even remember now. He was the 5th one that's seen playing time with the team so far, and he ended up letting a couple of goals in late.
Legacy.
But
okay.
yeah, no,
we'll figure it out. It just went blank.
But
so
Dylan Ferguson.
Okay.
There we go.
Ferguson
just hit me.
Yeah.
So I mean you're talking about 2 kids that.
That's the answer that in a trivia question no one's going to get.
Right.
I forgot about them too. Go ahead.
But you're talking about 2 guys that weren't going to be in the NHL for at least a couple of more years, expected to go into Edmonton and put together that kind of performance. And Legacy did well. He went 6-6-1 in his time with when he was spelling Subban after he got injured. So, but again, you don't expect those guys to come in and put up shutouts every day. So, the 8 goals is I don't think that big a deal. The big loss was coming back home and losing to them in the shootout, where we just couldn't get anything going offensively in that game. So we'll see what they do today. I haven't checked on it recently. Last I saw it was still a scoreless game midway through the first. But I think you can expect the Knights to have a nice bounce back game here against Edmonton as far as the games against them go and get the win. Great win the other night. Even though Chicago is down, you have to come back from a really tough loss where you kind of got dominated the entire game, and they put it together.
And Eric Holla is back tonight, and the real deal Neal is okay after James Neal got hit with a puck.
Scary shot, wasn't it?
It was like a hard shot, and it hit him like right in the kneecap, and he went down really fast and hard, and hopefully he's okay. But VGK is in action tonight, and we will give you some updates throughout the course of tonight's show. Ellie, you went to your first game against the Flyers, right?
As a spectator,
As a
It was
spectator.
my first game going
and
as a
you really
spectator.
enjoyed the fan experience, I understand.
Well, I enjoyed the fan experience from the fact that there was so much Philly love in the house. That was great. But there were a couple Knights fans who were testing my limits. I was very close to being a Broad Street bully myself, but and I was okay with either team that would win also. So it was a very odd predicament I had myself in. But there was just this woman behind me who just didn't know what she was talking about, and she was talking about it very loudly. And every time Fleury left the net, she got very angry at it, and it was just terrible. It was just.
Did she know hockey, or was she like
No,
she was a
first-year pretend fan, and she knew all the players' names, which was great, but she just didn't quite get it yet. And it's okay if you don't know. Like it's totally
suddenly
fine.
there's a lot of hockey experts in this city.
Yeah, that's what, and it's just.
It's a little frustrating, right?
You just ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay not to know. Like, just don't pretend you're something that you're not. And
So,
I will have a better experience.
do we have any comments?
Speaking of questions.
Yeah, we do. We have
Okay.
lots of things going on.
Okay.
So we're talking Knights. Michael Wynn said Alex Tuck on the cover of the Hockey News, Dynamite cover.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen it. Have you?
I have not seen
Anyone
it.
else? No?
I have not.
No, I haven't
I
seen
think Tuck's going to be one of the faces of this franchise going forward, though. So here's the beginning.
He's got a lot of fans. Michael Regula in Arugula. In reference to Fleury leaving the net, which the lady behind me would extremely not agree with, but he said, great aggressive play when it works.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It was.
Our buddy Scott Goldbranson said VGK needs to acquire an enforcer at the deadline. Teams who rough them up are successful. It's the VGK's one big weakness.
And that's what I say. That's what I've been saying all along.
I agree with they need to get an enforcer. I don't think it's necessarily a weakness because I think they're able to outskate those teams a lot of times. It can be an issue from time to time, but like I mentioned before, they have the ability to really turn that around and just beat guys with speed. But they do need somebody on that third or fourth line. I don't think you touch the first two lines whatsoever, but I think they do need somebody on the third or fourth line that's more of a heavy hitter, and then somebody on the back end, a couple blue line guys that are really going to get after you.
Yeah, we saw where teams now are playing tighter defensively, especially when the Golden Knights are trying to get started. Mm-hmm. So they get no momentum. It's like, full court pressure in basketball.
Right.
Same thing, right?
Right. Yeah, they need to be in space. They're better in space. I mean, we've seen them in 4-on-4. 4-on-4, they've been great. 3-on-3, they've been pretty good overall. The more space they have to work with, the better this team is. So if it gets muddied up, sometimes it's an issue.
We've got a lot of news to report from the Raider Nation as we continue here on the Sports Adrenaline Show. And I don't know if you saw the news today, folks, but Las Vegas could be hosting the 2019 or the 2020 NFL Draft. Can you guys imagine that? That would be incredible, to be honest. So they've narrowed it down to 5 finalists. And Denver, Kansas City, Tennessee, and then the combination of Cleveland and Canton, Ohio. So probably like first round Cleveland, and then I have a feeling they're going to get the bid for some reason because it's really unique. Maybe you have the second round on, coming from Canton, Ohio, and then Las Vegas. And I have a feeling, just my own gut feeling would be 2020 seems to make a lot more sense. Because you don't want to do it before the start of the 19 season where they have to go back to Oakland. If you do it in 2020, we get a chance. They could sell more, PSLs. They can get more marketing outcome out of it. So many good things could happen.
Not only that, the stadium will pretty much be done at that point.
Right.
The draft is in May. Stadium's supposed to be done in June.
Yeah.
So it's all but completed. The outside will obviously be completely done. They'll just be finishing things inside.
We should get it. We can
That'll
beat
be a great
Tennessee. We
backdrop.
can beat Kansas City.
Oh, absolutely.
It says Tennessee. It doesn't even say Nashville.
Well, I mean,
Tennessee.
If it is Nashville,
Denver.
that's always a fun place to go.
It's going to
but
snow in Denver in May of
do you want to
2020.
do you want to go to Kansas City over Vegas? Do you want to go to Cleveland over Vegas?
No.
I mean, come on. I think it's kind of obvious choice. Question is where are we going to hold it? Where do you put it?
We started talking indoors, right? Because there's so many huge venues here. But
exactly.
Yeah, Chicago did it outdoors, and it started to snow in May. No, it didn't snow, but no, they did a really good job there in Chicago. I don't think that they'll do it outdoors for some reason. I think it'll be an indoor venue.
If the venue's right, maybe, but you have to find the right venue. But again, we talked about this last week. The number of spots in this city where you can hold a large event, they're endless. Every single hotel has some kind of theater inside of it. We have arenas all over the place. You have just in that couple of mile vicinity, you have Mandalay Bay Arena, MGM Arena, T-Mobile, Thomas and Mack. They're everywhere. So, I mean, there's no limit to the amount of space that you can use in Las Vegas. I think you just have to find the right venue. You want to have a great backdrop. That's why being outside, especially starting the draft a little later, more prime time with the lights coming on, I think that's the way to do it.
So today, Raiders president Mark Bedane told the media members that the Raiders will put in a bid package, and hopefully Las Vegas will get the bid. And Bedane also updated us today on the stadium construction, moving ahead, right on schedule. He reported the ground has been excavated now up to the 50-yard line. And right now, let's hear some of the comments from the Raiders president, Mark Bedane, following today's stadium committee meeting.
A Super Bowl bid process. They have hotel requirements, which obviously we'll be able to make here, and volunteer requirements, venue requirements. So there's a lot of information. They have one of the best event departments in the world at the NFL, and they've done a lot of these events. They now have done the draft at multiple locations, so they've seen what's worked and what they're looking for out of a community, and we'll get the bid package and we'll get to work on it today.
What, in your opinion, makes Las Vegas the best option compared to some of the other cities that are finalists?
I just think the city is meant to host those types of events, and people love coming here for any reason, and this would give football fans, not just from one community, but from all 32 cities, all 30 cities, but all 32 teams, a chance to come here, give them another reason to come to Las Vegas and be here for 3 or 4 days and be here for the entire draft. I think it'll be spectacular.
With the NFL owners meeting next month, how critical is it to have the stadium development agreement completed before that meeting?
It's one of many documents we'll have to have completed in order to finalize everything. But we've been in communication with everyone at the league and with our banking partners and obviously with the Stadium Authority Board and their lawyers. So everything's on track.
Any concern about that March 1st deadline, getting everything done?
Nope.
Mark, would you like to, I know last year was in Philly, the draft and outdoor. Would you like to maybe hold it, I mean, because there's options here for an outdoor draft. And would you personally like to see an outdoor, indoor, does it matter? Or?
I think it really will make, it will be up to the NFL to decide what's the best venue for the event, outdoor, indoor. And the good thing about Las Vegas, it has probably more options than they'll know what to do with. So they'll get to choose the best ones and what makes the most sense for the league.
You said you'll have some things to say about the parking on the March 1st meeting. Can you give us an update on where things are going?
As I've told you guys, we've been working on it for pretty much a year, and we'll continue to work on it. We've spent a lot of time with the county, and as you know, the county has ultimate authority to approve the parking plan, and we'll continue to work with Nancy and Steve and the other members of the Clark County Commission and come up with the answers that they need.
Now, just going off the May meetings, it could be pretty big for the stadium, Las Vegas, a possible Super Bowl bid, and also the draft.
Just the draft at the May meetings. The Super Bowl bids probably won't be at the May meetings.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
Discussions, maybe.
There will be discussions, absolutely. I don't know if they're definitely going to make the decision at the May meetings.
And as far as the continued drop in the room tax rate on October, November, December now, any kind of concern with that, just as far as like the fallout from the shooting and all that?
I think you heard what Jeremy had to say today, and it's still on track to be higher than projected over the first 12 months. So I'm not concerned with people wanting to come to Las Vegas.
And that again is Mark Bedane, the president of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll call them the Las Vegas Raiders. We have an update on the hockey score from T-Mobile.
Yeah, little rebound put back there for Ryan Carpenter, and the goals take.
He's been pretty hot.
Knights take a 1-0 lead.
Took him a while to get started.
Well, he was a healthy scratch a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was a late addition to the team in a trade with San Jose, and wasn't worked into the lineup early on, and has now been getting a chance to play regularly, and he's starting to find his way. Getting more comfortable with that line always helps out. And banged in is that his fourth goal now, I believe?
Yeah.
Fourth goal in the last 5 games.
5 games, right? Yeah.
5 or 6 games. So
Hallie,
he's definitely getting involved.
What's up?
A lot of people want to talk to us. I mean to you.
Yeah, well, it's because John and Rick aren't here, so
that means more syllables for you. a lot more. So
Yeah,
yeah.
just a few.
We finally are getting to know Haley now that the other guys aren't here.
Yeah, I'm
hogging up the airtime.
branching out, you know,
Yeah.
getting out there. So anyway, what's going on in the comments? We are talking stadium. Jason Smith said 2020 would be perfect. I also agree 2019 is like just a little bit too soon. But another win, Chris William win, also said the draft would probably be at T-Mobile Arena, I would think, or the Grand Garden Arena, which makes sense. The stadium won't be finished. I still don't think it'll be finished. Also, Michael Regula, who gave me props to saying his name right the first time, informed us that they got a goal, and it was Ryan Carpenter. And Jason Smith just chimed in, Harrah's Convention Center probably as kind of a kickback, I guess, for the draft.
For the draft?
Yeah. But I think it'd be cool to what he said about being outside. That would be pretty cool.
May should still be okay, climate-wise. We
no.
do get some wind in May, though, you know?
Yeah.
We get some winds.
As far as the stadium not being completed, this is the same group that built Minnesota Stadium. They did it in 30 months. Minnesota doesn't have a 3-shift town, and they have really bad winters where it's not easy to get things done.
They do, but their ground is softer.
We do, but they're already blowing the ground up. That's going on right now.
Yeah.
That's not even an issue at this point. They're going above ground in just a minute. So
yeah, they have about 100 people,
100
people out there right now.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, as soon as they blast out the remaining caliche, they showed a video with Steve Sisolak today, then they start everything above ground. If they've already excavated 50 yards, I mean, they're halfway there for the field. And then the rest, they're just going to, you'll see that thing go up really fast.
How soft is Minnesota's ground when it's like negative 30?
Well, that's a different story.
Yeah, exactly. So we attended the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting today, as we said, and the chairman, Steve Hill, said that the panel has made significant progress thus far. And if you've been going to these meetings, they do. They cover a lot of ground, and everyone has a lot of homework and assignments so that the meetings are typically maybe an hour or so if everything falls into place. Today's went 2 hours in length, and here are just some of the updates on what transpired today. I think one of the biggest items to come out of today's meeting was that Ken Evans was appointed as the chairman of the Community Benefits Oversight Committee, and the board member and union head, Tommy White, had a legitimate question, I felt, and that whether this is a conflict of interest, as Evans is also on the Stadium Authority Board. So an attorney said that it is legal in the state of Nevada to serve both on the board and to lead an oversight committee, but I don't think it's done yet.
Because Tommy's biggest contention is we need to see where in Nevada law this is actually written. Yeah, somebody came out and said, no, it's okay. We looked into it and it's fine. But until you see actual documentation of that, that's nothing more than somebody's word. And take that for what it's worth. It can be an issue going forward. We talked to Tommy afterwards, and he mentioned having sat on several boards over the last 20 years of his career, and to sit on one board and then have to go to your other board and do something that conflicts with a decision made over here when it's going to benefit this other one, that's where you get these conflicts of interest, and you have to be able to make the decision that's best for this particular situation, no matter what's going on this other side. So they'll dig into it deeper. You know, their legal team will look into it, and if there is an issue there, we could see changes going forward. If it is stated that Nevada law says no, it's okay, it's not a conflict of interest, you can't sit on both, then Ken Evans is the guy.
Mark Arnold, an attorney, also went over the PSL agreements and cost overruns. And any cost overrun, once again, would be the responsibility of the Raiders.
Say that again.
So any cost overruns are the responsibility of the Raiders.
So Las Vegas and its local residents don't have to pay for the stadium, is that correct?
For overruns. We already have the $750 million that
But
everyone thinks is theirs, taking tax money out of their pocket when it's coming out of the hotel resort fees. And that money is already starting to accumulate.
Yes.
The last quarter wasn't very good, but
last quarter is never very good.
Yeah. But moving
on the
ahead,
strip forever,
they're
and the
still
last
up,
quarter's
what,
always
about
sucked.
6%?
They're up a little over 6% total. they're going to continue to be that way. We're only adding to what this city has to offer. More people are going to continue to come in. First and second quarter are always big for this city. Convention-wise, you have March Madness coming up. We just got done with the Super Bowl. Baseball season kicks off. NBA and NHL playoffs. People are going to continue to come to this city.
This year in March, it's not going to be March Madness. It's going to be Marchessault Madness.
Marchessault Madness.
Yeah.
You're really trying to market that.
I'm trying to market that guy. You need some help, man. So the next meeting is March the 1st, and that will be at 9 a.m. Downtown at the Commission Building, right? And,
early one.
And, yeah, it's an early one. And also you might have heard Mark Bedane a couple things. I mean, one, he said that parking, they will have an update by the March the 1st meeting. So that's great news.
That was a big sticking
point. And he was
point
really
leaving the meeting
confident, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that occurred today with Mark Bedane was he kept saying and looking at me, do you have any more questions? Any other questions? And he's looking at me, and I was going to ask him, Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? That's what I was going to ask.
Which is why he didn't ask.
Haley, do we have any other comments over there? How are you? You're going to get a lot of syllables tonight, as we said.
Yeah, I don't get it. John Castagnino, hashtag
God, that guy's watching?
He said, I hope you guys can have a quality show without me.
We sent him home last night. We said, go home and spend some time with your wife. That's what we did.
He didn't. It was Valentine's Day. He didn't bring her to the game?
He was at the game, and...
Did you bring your wife to the game?
No, but I made dinner before the game.
Okay.
So sat down and had dinner with her before I went for the game.
Yeah, but John was just like, I came from class. John, just go home. And then he looks mad. He looks at me.
Go home, John.
Go home. Just
go home, John.
Yeah.
Tell him right now. Go home, John.
But yes, John, we're having a good show.
Yes, John. Yeah, it's a quality show. It's a quality show.
Much classier.
All right, we'll be checking in with you, Haley. If you have any comments, please just leave them on our Facebook page, and we will get to those, as many as we possibly can. There's a lot more Raider news going on, and the big news, I guess, on the field, on Wednesday, the Raiders told Sebastian Janikowski that they do not intend to bring him back in 2018. So we have a good Italian kicker now, Giorgio Tavecchio.
Giorgio.
Place kicker. But Janikowski's, been with the team since 2000, and I forgot that the Raiders used their top pick in that year to select Janikowski over Sean Alexander. Yes. I forgot that they stiffed Alexander.
Going into that season, the Raiders had some
serious
kicking issues
in
the 2 seasons leading up to that, and at this point, John Gruden was already the head coach, and I don't know that he was high on taking a kicker in the first round, but we know Al Davis was. And ultimately it worked out. Janikowski spent 18 years with the Raiders. He's played more games than any other Raider. He scored more points than any other Raider. So, I think looking back on it, it wasn't a bad pick. Not at all.
No, not at all. What do we hear from the Raider Nation as far as personnel? There was a story today in the San Jose Mercury News that had an update on how Gruden is acclimating, back to being a head coach. And, I don't think that anyone's job is really safe. They have to either fit a system or they don't, right?
Well, Carr's job is safe. Nick's job is safe.
Okay.
Cooper's job is safe. Some offensive linemen and
But they all fit into a system.
Not only that, these are Pro Bowl players.
Sure.
You're not going to get rid of Rodney Hudson and guys like that.
Now, what about I had to ask you about Sean Smith, right? So I did see some reports that perhaps they would cut him and then re-sign him. Have you heard anything to that effect?
I haven't, no, but that's just a question of money. If you can cut him and not take a cap hit and he wants to stay and you re-sign him, that happens all the time around the league where you cut a guy, it's just ending the first period.
1-0?
Yeah. You cut a guy and then re-sign them for less money, take less of a cap hit, maybe front-load it a little more, things like that. But that's nothing more than a money issue. The question is whether or not they feel Sean Smith would work within whatever type of system they want to use defensively. I've said it before, these aren't John Gruden's guys. He didn't put this team together. So coming in with a brand new head coach and a brand new coaching staff, free agencies coming up in a couple of weeks, you have the draft right after that, they're going to get as many pieces as they can that fit their system. And if you're not part of that system, it doesn't really matter if you were there last year or the last 3 years, you're out the door.
Yeah. And, anything else to report on personnel that you know of?
No, Gruden did confirm that he did meet with Marshawn Lynch. So far, nothing has come of that meeting. I did a story for Las Vegas Raiders Report the other day, kind of highlighting the positives and negatives of having Marshawn Lynch on the team. I think he's a great piece to the team. I think they can use him, especially in a John Gruden-style system where he loves to get behind a fullback and throw those big bodies up the middle in short yardage. So I think Lynch has a place on this team. But, does Marshawn Lynch want to be on the team? Does he want to play another season? He's coming off a retirement year into playing this last season, so maybe he just wants to go back to being retired.
Yeah.
But it's still a long way to go. Gruden spent the last month evaluating this roster. He can't talk to the players right now because of the collective bargaining agreement. Can't talk to players, doesn't really have any contact with them. So evaluating the roster, getting his system in place, meeting with his coaches, and just trying to get everything set for free agency and the draft.
And then anything else to wrap up today's Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting?
You touched on it a minute ago with the parking. I did mention that was kind of a sticking point at the end. They wanted to make sure that with only 2 weeks to go before the next meeting, the March 1st meeting, they wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that parking was still a big issue, that it is something that needs to be addressed, and it has to be done before that March 1st deadline.
How many spaces was it? 7,500?
They have 2,500 available at the actual stadium site.
But total wasn't it?
I think total they want to have 16,000 in that range. So things are going to have to be done. Obviously, this is something that they've been working on a lot. But Dane talks about it all the time. We're working on this every single day. It's not that they don't have a plan in place yet. We just don't know what that plan is.
Yeah, but he did seem confident.
And he's been confident about it the whole time. And we know they're not going to go into this and throw their hands up and go, well, we really don't know what we're going to do for parking now, so the whole thing is shot. They'll have it worked out by the time it comes.
Let's check in with Haley.
Hey. So, Jason Smith made a comment. He said, where'd you go, Jason? Well, he said,
where'd you go, Jason?
He said, where'd you go? He said, gonna miss the Polish cannon, but GT did a good job. And then he followed back and said, Irvin said on Twitter he wasn't sure he'd be back.
See, and that's what I was showing Matt today. Yeah, okay. It was about Irvin, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bruce. Sorry, we were in the middle of a 3-hour meeting. I didn't take that in all the way.
He said he tagged himself and then said Baby Irvin might not be back.
Baby Reggie.
Baby Reggie might not be back.
Yeah.
Sorry,
because he's been
Reggie,
known to quote unquote draft guys,
right?
Get the free agents over,
right?
Again, maybe he hasn't talked to the new coaching staff yet. Maybe he's contemplating retirement. Maybe he doesn't want to play for the new coaches. We don't know. There's way too many moving pieces right now to be able to put a roster together this early on. You just don't know how these guys are going to line up.
As we mentioned earlier, we spent the evening last night on Valentine's Day at the Thomas and Mack Center with a lot of people in red and one guy in pink. I was wearing a pink sweater. It makes me look thinner.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Yeah, and then John said, it makes me look thinner. He always has just some great comments for me. I know. The Rebels, Runnin Rebels, racked up win number 19 on the season last night. They now have won 5 out of the last 6 games. UNLV battled hard against Air Force at the Thomas and Mack Center. Sloppy affair in which UNLV turned the ball over 18 times. And both Jovan Mooring and Jordan Johnson admitted after the game that those turnovers, Matt, had come out of playing too fast.
Yeah, and we talked about it during the game. We watched a lot of just kind of throwing the ball away and not
unforced errors.
Yeah, not in the basketball sense of it. Just kind of having the ball in your hand and then it's not in your hands anymore and it's rolling off someplace else. Just horrible turnovers. Not paying attention to the defense. Just not taking care of the ball, dribbling it off of knees, off of feet, passing it to nobody in particular, throwing it into the middle of 3 guys on defense. Just really, really bad turnovers, unforced errors, like you said. But, and I mentioned it to Coach Menzies in the press conference after the game, when they hit the 4-minute mark, it was a 1-point game.
And what is that called?
Winning time. Coach Menzies calls
winning
that
time.
winning time. The last 4 minutes of the game. 1-point game when we
It's
got
been
to winning
losing time sometimes.
Early on in conference play, it was not winning time at all.
Or you can go into overtime time.
Well, yeah, or overtime time. What is that, extra winning time?
Extra winning time.
But 1-point game at the 4-minute mark, stretched it out to a 10-point lead, ended up winning by 8. And no turnovers in the final 4
it was
minutes,
15-point lead, 8:13 to go in the first half. And like one of my questions about this team is, do they possess the killer instinct, to distance themselves? When you have, here's what maybe I would do. Like, if they're up 15 points, take a little time out and go, okay, guys, we got to this point. Now take it up another notch. And let's put this game away.
You don't see that very often, though, in college basketball. It does happen. The elite teams have the ability to do that at times. Mm-hmm. But too often in basketball, and we've talked about it, it's a game of runs, right? You've got teams that go on these 15, 18-point runs, and they open up these huge leads. But inevitably, the other team goes on the same kind of run or a run close to it, 10, 11 points, and you close it to a 1 or 2 possession game. The thing I liked about last night, and go back to the Wyoming game as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wyoming
they
went
gave
on
up
a huge run.
Right,
they gave up the lead.
The last 2 games, they've blown a sizable lead.
But Wyoming took a 1-point lead after this huge run. UNLV was up 21, and Wyoming goes on a run at the end of the first and into the second half. They take a 1-point lead, and the lead lasted 1 possession. UNLV got the lead back and then put them away, ended up winning by double digits. Last night, Air Force got as close as 1 point several times after UNLV had a 17-point lead at one point. They never took the lead, and the Rebels were able to put them away. That's something that they couldn't do early in conference play. Teams would catch up, and then they'd run away from the Rebels. That has now shifted. The Rebels have been able to weather that storm, and Joe Vaughn even talked about that after the game, that, if this game happened early in the year, we probably would have lost that game.
Yeah, good point.
But we were able to weather the storm and then put them away.
UNLV has always struggled against the zone, and last night, especially early on in the game, was no different. And that, again, I just think maybe they're trying to rush into their offense, and then just, as you said, I mean, they're unforced turnovers, but some of them were just like throwing the ball to no one, like in the middle of the lane. Mm-hmm. I think McCoy had, one of those turnovers, or just sloppy, like throwing, skip passes just back and forth, and then one just sails out of bounds. Those are things they really need to clean up.
I feel that they don't really understand how to attack a zone, and it's not just the guards getting the ball inside, because look at how poorly Justin and McCoy shot the ball yesterday.
It's been hereditary.
Yeah.
For UNLV.
It's like they don't, even when they get the ball in spots where they can score,
right,
they feel awkward against that zone instead of just being body on body, man on man. Let me turn and score on this guy. Combined, 4 for 19, I believe, Justin and McCoy.
Yeah.
McCoy ended up with a double-double. He had 10 points and 12 boards,
right,
I believe, or 10 and 17, actually. But 6 of his 10 came from the free throw line. He was only 2 of 10 shooting the ball. Just really struggled against the Air Force defense. And it's not like they're a big team whatsoever. I mean, Justin and McCoy can dominate that team one-on-one.
So Shakur Houston was named the Mountain West Conference Player of the Week for a second time. Held to just 4 points in that game, but he had 3 points in the first meeting. So I was trying to see what they were doing differently last night, and we'll tell you what Coach said. He credited Air Force's defense, but McCoy 10 points, and he had 8 points in the first meeting. So if they do face Air Force again in the tournament, they're going to have to get those 2 players involved, because sooner or later, you have Mooring, you have Johnson that aren't going to stay hot, against the team and continue to carry them against Air Force. It's just that, UNLV and Houston and McCoy missed some very, very easy opportunities by a country mile.
Which we don't see them.
We never see that. No, but like you have a little chippy.
Against the zone.
Yeah, I guess they maybe panicked. I don't know, but what Air Force did do, they did trap McCoy and Houston. Okay, but they've seen traps before. They also set up a wall defensively, like Coach Menzie said, and then they ran players behind the Rebel bigs. And so even if there was not someone there, I think that Houston, in particular, would anticipate that there was someone behind him. Did you get that feeling?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When they're man on man, you feel the guy on you. You know where he's at. you know how to beat your man, take him to the hole, finish. They're really good at that. They're very comfortable at that. I don't think they understood the zone. They didn't understand where the pressure and the defense were coming from, and it threw off the rhythm of their shots. You don't see McCoy go, I think he was 1 of 9 at one point in the game yesterday. You never see that. And it's not like he was taking jumpers from 18, 22 feet away. A lot of these were in the paint, and he just doesn't. And he missed a layup at point-blank range. You don't see that from McCoy very often.
And then he also goaltended an Air Force 3 in the game, too. Haley, you're having fun over there. Some good comments?
I'm just laughing at you guys. You just make my day. Also, John and his wife. But other than that, there's nothing going on over here.
No.
Everything's fine.
No UNLV basketball questions?
I mean,
what did John say? Did he go home and make dinner for his wife, hopefully, last night? Or?
Well, to go back a little bit, he said the show was going to be classier now that you got a haircut. So that helped out a little bit.
That's
but yeah,
tough.
she said Tiffany, she didn't give much detail, but she said that John made it up to her. So
okay.
I'm going to leave that open for interpretation.
All right. So we get a point each for the assist last night then, I guess.
You can have your point. I'm good.
So we talked on our we have an audio podcast now, which you could find on Spreaker. Right, Spreaker. and it's also on iTunes, so it's Sports Adrenaline. But we were talking the other night about UNLV under Coach Menzies. They focus on 1 point. They have 1 point of emphasis for each game, and they do it pretty well. And you could tell when they lose.
Did you predict that point of emphasis?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What was it?
It was rebounding.
There we go.
It was rebounding, and then second chance points. Because in the first meeting in Colorado Springs, it was 19-2 second chance points for Air Force. Last night, 18-7 for UNLV. They flip-flopped it, and they also won by a wide margin the rebounding.
27?
Yeah,
they out-rebounded them by?
Yeah. So, I mean, they do that one point really well. That's why I was kicking you in the press conference last night.
If ever you get the chance to go to a press conference or meeting with Tony, don't go.
I'm like a kid.
Don't go. He's so annoying.
I know. I bring my little polka dot cup, just.
And he doesn't ask any questions either. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's why Mark Bedane wanted to know what I had on my mind.
He sensed it.
He did twice.
Yeah.
2 times. But we didn't see much out of the 3-guard offense last night. I noticed that as well. And then UNLV, just a couple more home games. Fresno State, which is coming on late, and UNR. Mm-hmm. And this Saturday, a road game against San Diego State. A team that has really been falling apart in the second half of games of late.
San Diego State has not been a good basketball team. They won the other day, or yesterday, right? They beat Wyoming. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's a Wyoming team that was down huge to UNLV early on and ended up losing again by double digits. The Rebels, I think, really handled San Diego State here earlier in the month. They seem to match up well with them. This isn't the defensive juggernaut that we've seen from Steve Fisher in the past.
And Kell went out early with a foot injury.
And is he back yet?
They said he was coming back. I didn't look in the box score last night, but he hasn't played.
No, and even if he is back, what are the chances he's 100%?
Right.
I think the Rebels go down and they take care of San Diego State this week. I think they're playing as good of basketball as they've played all season right now. Mm-hmm. Like you said, 5 out of the last 6, 4 in a row. When's the last time we saw any UNLV team win 4 games in a row in the Mountain West Conference? It's been a while.
Not very many people saw it last night.
I don't know that they did that through the Dave Rice era. They struggled so much.
No one showed up last night.
No, nobody showed up last night.
It's a shame.
It really is because this team is playing – they're playing really good basketball right now.
They got everyone's hopes up high, and then they sort of went through this lull, and now they're on the upswing, and hopefully fans will go out there and support them.
Well, it's funny because we talked about it before the San Diego State game. And the question was, can they make a run in the tournament? And we all said no, that this team is not capable of that at this point because they're not playing like they can make a run. Mm-hmm. They played really well against San Diego State. They drop a tough one to Boise State in overtime.
Yeah.
But other than that, they've played really well. This now looks like a team playing at Boise in overtime, playing at Reno and winning, beating San Diego State, beating Wyoming. If they can handle Fresno, who they always seem to struggle against as well, I think you can see this team make a legitimate run in the tournament. Doesn't mean they will, but I think now you see that they are capable of doing that.
My point of emphasis for Saturday's game, he's going to stress cut down on the turnovers. That's exactly what's
an easy
going
one, though, Tony.
Well,
18 turnovers.
I'll take a layup.
18
They weren't making layups, so I'm going to take one and make it myself. Okay,
All right. We'll go with that.
Is that fair?
We'll go with that.
Haley,
Hey.
have you been watching the Olympics? I'm just curious.
You know what? I'm not really big into the Winter Olympics, but I did watch Shaun White because
Yes, he's the man.
He's Shaun White.
Yes,
And
he's
he
the flying
looks
tomato.
so much better with that short hair now too. He's really grown into himself. He's my second favorite
I'm not going to
ginger.
name. I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to name drop right now. I'm not. I promise.
He's about to.
Oh no. So I gave up. So the NBC coverage was becoming too political, and then it was delayed and all that. And so I went online and go, what other country feed can I watch? So I'm watching the BBC, and being a hip hop fan like you are, you could appreciate this. So they have this little snowboard kid out there, and he holds up his snowboard, and on the bottom he's got hashtag free Meek Mill. And so, but the announcers are absolutely clueless. And he goes, "Oh, this young snowboarder has a message on the bottom, of his board." And he goes, "We don't quite know what that means. You might have to go follow the hashtag."
Oh my
And
God.
so it was just, but it's just comedy, and they don't pronounce names very well. But it's like, it's not like.
Oh well, yeah, because I didn't even.
It's not like a
think
big production.
BBC, they don't know who Meek Mill is. Like.
Well,
They
you would
don't-
think, no?
Well, you know where he's from.
Yeah.
Here we go.
He's a Philly guy, but yeah, for sure.
Seems like everybody's a Philly guy right now.
Yeah.
It
So-
is, and it's amazing. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Everyone is so happy. Like Nick Foles
Says
on
the
the
girl
Ellen
who left
show.
Philly to come to Vegas.
And so what did Nick say on that show?
He was just talking about like his family and stuff.
Yeah,
He was
and
being
they
really
wanted to know what he
cute.
was going to do next season, and he kind of shut down Ellen.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, we'll talk about it. He pretty much was like, I didn't even talk to my wife about it yet. So, but she gave him a stroller with like a little iPad and a big sign on it that says, "My dad won the Super Bowl." It's pretty cute because he's a baby.
Yeah, there was that other snowboarder that won the gold medal, and the best part of that scenario was his family was
Little day
drinking
drinking.
daytime
Is
beers.
he the young kid that he woke up
He
late,
overslept.
he lost his jacket,
Yeah.
he dropped the F-bomb on
Yeah,
live TV?
yes. Our hero.
He is a true
Typical
American hero.
snowboarder right there.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please hit up Haley here on Facebook, and we'll try to get to any of your comments there. And the hockey coverage, too. Okay, the BBC dropped this knowledge on me last night.
All right.
Did not know this. So I'm watching hockey last night, right? And I didn't realize this, but they have 50 to 60 pucks per game frozen, and every couple of minutes, every stoppage of play, they replace the puck with a frozen puck.
I didn't know it was that many, but I've actually seen them over in the penalty box.
In the penalty box area,
grabbing,
they pull them out of a
grabbing
little
pucks, yeah.
freezer or something.
I just noticed that this season attending.
So I got
tonight's
that.
games.
I got that from the BBC. At least they gave me something good.
I got
to
that from
bring to
being
the
a
show.
Bruin.
Yeah, the Las Vegas Lights FC. Boy, was that a fun game here on
Yes.
Saturday night. Capacity crowd, more than 10,000 fans. A lot of people drinking nighttime beers at that event. And there were reports of
best
people
kind.
scalping tickets outside of Cashman Field. And they fell in the game. They lost to the Montreal Impact of the MLS, 2-0, 2-0, the soccer people might say, if they're snobbish. Fun atmosphere. And our favorite, probably one of the favorite athletes in the city right now, the goalkeeper, Ricardo Farinho, because there's a trill over the ends, like one of those trill things, like that.
Squiggle.
Yeah,
a little squiggly accent mark.
Squiggle. So
That guy,
he's so fun.
man, we talked about Fleury going out to the blue line the other day to get a puck. This is a goalie in soccer, and this guy's almost at the midfield circle. And I mentioned this before. I've never seen a goalie when you have the attackers coming on and the goalie gets the ball. Usually, what he'll do is he'll grab it. You see him kind of run off to the side through the goal box, give himself some space, either throw it to a teammate or kick it downfield. This guy wants to put the ball down in front of him and then juke the oncoming offensive players for the other team so that he can show off and beat them and then make fun of them after he shakes them out of their cleats.
He taunts them.
He does, and he did it more than once. He did the no. He did the finger wag, the Mutombo finger wag.
He did.
I mean, the guy was
He went
all
out
over
the one
place.
time. He caught the ball, in goal, net, and then he runs out after the guy. He's got the ball under his arm, and he's yelling at the opponent and following him down the field. I'm like,
he also tried out for WWE. Because he came out of the net, tried to shake somebody, got beat by 2 offensive players, turned around and just grabbed one of them by the back of the neck and threw him to the ground.
And then ran off the field.
And then just ran off the field knowing the red card was coming. Knew
done.
it was coming.
Done.
Ran off the field. Kicked the ball into his own player. We got an own goal there. I mean, he's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. But Chalise talked about it a little bit that he kind of needs to tighten up.
That's the game sound of Chalise.
They played really well.
It's a
in the
KRS
first
song,
half.
man. I know it.
This guy and his hip hop. Played really well in the first half against an MLS team. Kind of got away from him a little bit in the second half. We have a little quick soundbite here from Chalise, the head coach of the LV Lights, just kind of talking about what he saw from the team.
Good fitness way.
Chalise, what positives do you take away from your first performance out on the field today?
El esfuerzo que hacen. The big effort for players. Las ganas de querer agradar. The desire, the hunger, doing the good things of the players. Y que al final del túnel, así veo una lucecita, sí la veo una lucecita, pero muy al final. And yes, at the end, I can clearly see a little light. I can see it. We have to work, but I can see. We are in that way.
So you could see his reaction there when I asked him what positives he took away, and he just laughed and put his head down, and that's what you get out of Chalise. He's very very candid in his response. He doesn't hold back at all, and he congratulated their effort. They played hard for the most part, but he also mentioned they've got to tighten things up, and I think as they grow as a team, you'll see them get a little better. Still, that they're playing. Vancouver Whitecaps this weekend, another MLS team.
8:00 Saturday night.
Right, and I mean, fun, guys. Get out there. Get out there early because, it's Cashman Field. Parking can be an issue, but they've got an entire fan zone set up out there. Just a lot of things for fans to do before the game as opposed to just showing up and going to a soccer match. We did get a chance to talk to Brett Lashbrook a little bit after the game. He gave us a couple of minutes and just talked about how he felt about the opening night experience.
For you personally, like you said a few months ago, you kind of had this vision to see it all come together. What was it like?
You want my honest opinion? I think we've just hit the tip of the iceberg. I, honest to God, think we've just hit the tip of the iceberg. We still are the whole fan base still doesn't fully understand being a soccer culture, right? And I saw 100 flags there. By the end of the year, it's going to be 500 flags, right? I saw the singing and dancing and cheering behind the goal of 2 sections. By the end of the year, it's going to be 7 sections. I saw out in the fan zone, some people are looking at very kind of an American tailgate type situation. That's going to continue to change as to how that fan experience goes. So I look at this whole project as a marathon, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Obviously, I want to sprint as much as we can right out of the gate, but this is just the beginning. And I really, really believe we've only tapped the very top of what we can be as a soccer city.
How'd you feel about the on-the-field performance, what you saw out of your team?
I didn't see a lot of the actual match, so I actually want to go back home and watch KCLV on my DVR. Shaking hands and kissing babies. Clearly, I haven't had a chance to speak with Chalise, but Chalise has my full support, right, in what we're trying to do. And listen, when you have to bring in, Major League Soccer teams, it's always going to be difficult, but by all accounts, we went for it. And that is our brand promise. That is what we've guaranteed to fans, and that's what we're going to do. This goes back to it's a marathon, not a sprint. This is a long run, and we are 100% committed to the style, 100% committed to what we can build for the city, 100% committed to what this is going to be long term. And tonight does nothing to deter us on that. In fact, it only builds it to see 10,000 people show up for a team that they've never seen before.
Did you get a chance to walk around concourse area and kind of take the pulse of the fans tonight?
Very much so, yes. In fact, I didn't watch a lot of the game because of that very reason. And it goes back to what I was just saying, right? There was an excitement. There was, this is different, right? This is nothing against UNLV or Golden Knights or 51s or anything of that sort. This is a different fan experience. There was a different diversity to the crowd. There was a different price point to the crowd. There was a different feeling to the crowd, right? And I've got a whole list of things that we want to do to improve our game presentation and our fan experience and pre and post game. But overall, it's an A-plus night, right? We're incredibly proud of what we built in 6 months, but we're just getting started. I think that's the takeaway here. We're just getting started.
So there you go, Brett Lashbrook, the owner of LV Lights FC, really saying, don't worry too much about the winning or losing at this point. They're going to get better there. They're playing MLS teams like we just talked about, but it's a lot of fun. He enjoyed the experience. He thought the crowd was into it, and they're going to do more. He wants to see more. He wants to see more flags. Wants to see more cheering sections, more fun in the parking lot before the game. More chance that may be controversial, which if you went to the game, you saw that as well.
Yeah, not for the weak of heart if you're in that supporters section, which if you go to Cashman Field, it's right down the first base line.
But still a lot of fun. So get out there, 8 o'clock Saturday against the MLS Vancouver Whitecaps, and just get there early, have a good time. We have some comments going on, Haley. What do we have?
And Knights scored.
Oh, they scored again?
Scored, yeah. Just got the update. So,
There
yay, nice.
we go, 2-0.
He's watching the BBC coverage, right?
Yeah. it's more
Free
fun
who?
to watch with an accent.
You might want to follow that
feed.
hashtag.
Hashtag.
Free Meek Mill.
Oh, free. Okay. I thought there was a BBC hashtag. I was unaware. I was totally going to follow that one. So, yeah, we got some things going down in the comments. So, speaking on the lights, Chris William Wynn said there have been Paco's Grub at the Lights game is top notch. So if you don't want to go for the game,
the food trucks are good.
Food trucks are great, apparently. Yeah, I need to try those out. I'm a big food truck guy. Speaking on the Knights, there have been a lot of VGK firsts. I can't wait for Fleury, Subban, or Dansk to score the first goal between the pipes for Vegas. Jason Smith, in reference to talking about the frozen pucks. This is actually, I give you credit, Jason. This is pretty smart. He said, talk about a ready-made Coors Light commercial. Ref gets fresh frozen puck, shoots, goalie catches beer.
All right. That's
nice.
good. That's
I like
good.
that.
All right.
I think you missed your calling, Jason.
Philly.
Out there and do some marketing,
Philly.
Hey, speaking of soccer, there's a huge event this weekend, a big tournament. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's called the Mayor's Cup International Showcase. So it's soccer teams, youth soccer teams, Friday through Sunday. There are 600, over the next couple of weekends actually, 667 teams from all over the world competing. And it's over at the Betty Wilson Soccer Complex on Eugene Avenue. And the girls' bracket will be held on the 23rd through the 25th. It got to be so big of a tournament that they had to put the boys on one weekend and the girls on the next. And they come from all over the world, bringing in an estimated $27 million to the city. So that's a big deal here in the city. And I can guarantee you that a lot of these youth soccer teams are probably going to try to get out there to Cashman, to catch a game on Saturday night. So we had that scoring update. It's 2-0 VGK.
And it was Marchy Madness.
It was.
Yeah, Marchessault with his, was it 21st goal now? Yeah, I believe.
Thereabouts.
21st, 22nd, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And then the Chicago Wolves tonight, some good news from down on the farm, as they say. 13th straight win at home tonight, as they won the game over some team, 4-3. And but the big news there was that Oscar Dansk was in net tonight, so he gets the win. So that's a good sign for VGK fans.
Definitely.
So, and that's all of our stuff on soccer. And then there's some news about the other occupants, at least for the moment, the other tenants there at Cashman Field, the Las Vegas 51s. And the 51s finally have announced that their official groundbreaking ceremony for the new AAA stadium here in town in Summerlin is going to take place on February the 23rd. So next Friday.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. We'll all be out there.
Yeah.
That should be a good time. Right next to City National Arena, which is right across the street from downtown
Summerlin, yeah.
Red Rock Hotel. That is going to be a completely different game day experience for going to a 51's game than we've seen since 1983 when the Las Vegas Stars first started up.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a whole shopping center, restaurants, that whole area is good to go.
Yeah, and you saw a picture of it right there, on your screen of what the rendering.
They
of
talked
the
about the
stadium.
pool. Pool's going to be bigger than the one in Arizona at Chase Field. Obviously, it's we don't have the luxury of a closed indoor stadium or retractable roof stadium like they do in Arizona, so you need a little more coverage from the pool, right?
Right.
A little more area to cool you down.
Yeah, I don't need, I think here's what we need. Here. I think we need to have
Lazy River, like a moat around the whole place. What do you think?
an EDM club, dance club out there for Haley to wear her tutu.
Only if Paris Hilton's there.
As you can see, Tony's very excited about the EDC lineup being announced. He's
very excited.
He's ready to go.
Yeah. As long as I get helicoptered out there and back, I'm good. I'll stay there till 4 a.m. then. And an RV too. I lost my train of thought. Oh, but no, I think that you know what I think they really need. So we don't know who the new affiliate will be for the 51s because after this season, the Mets are not going to utilize the Las Vegas team for their farm system. But what do you think of? What are your thoughts about having whatever minor league team that is affiliated to? And I'm guessing it could be on the West Coast. Are they trying to get the Dodgers back? I mean, that was some talk.
Well, the Dodgers are in Oklahoma City now.
Oklahoma City?
Yeah, that's where they're at now. That's where their AAA ball club is, the Oklahoma City Dodgers.
No, but what about where do they do spring training though? Still Vero Beach?
No. They opened a facility in Arizona with the White Sox 5 years ago now.
Is it that long?
Yeah.
Jeez. Anyway, so the Dodgers.
Tony's not a baseball fan anymore.
No. I mean spring training. I just forgot. Okay, so why don't they have the Dodgers do spring training here? They'll have a really nice
opened a brand new
stadium.
facility in Arizona with the White Sox.
Okay, so then let's not sign with the Dodgers.
Years ago. Well, I don't know what
or
one
the
has
White
to do
Sox.
with the other.
Or the White Sox. No, if you have a team here that can play spring training, and then other teams come in here and they'll play a couple of games and then go back.
Well, it's just a big league weekend style.
Yeah,
just like what the Cubs do every year. The Dodgers have been here for big league.
Just trying to get more mileage
spring.
out of the stadium.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure we'll have some big league ball clubs come in here for spring training, like we already do. Maybe up it a little bit because now you have legitimate facilities,
a better facility.
Yeah,
exactly.
As far as the Dodgers becoming affiliated with the 51s again and using us as their AAA ball club, I don't know what the current contract situation is with Oklahoma. They've only been there for this will be the third season now, I believe, after leaving Albuquerque, which is where they went after leaving Las Vegas. I would love to see the Dodgers back affiliated with Vegas. I think that'd be great. No matter who it is, it's always really it's fun to see these young kids come up that are top prospects, or you see guys that are on rehab stints down in AAA. I get to see them come through with Cashman Field up until next season, but it should be a much more enjoyable experience with a brand new ballpark out there.
Fans also too this weekend, tomorrow night. That's Friday night here in Las Vegas at T-Mobile. 7:00 face-off between UNLV's hockey team, collegiate hockey, and Midland University. So that's going on as they get to play inside the big arena. So that's really cool for those guys. And then some boxing news to report. We have fights here on Saturday on Showtime, I think. Danny Garcia against Brandon Rios. It's at Mandalay Bay, fighting at the 147-pound limit. Garcia 33-1, Rios 34-3. And Rios, I think, coming into this fight, really is aware of Garcia's patented left hook. I think, and that he's also concerned about his counterpunching ability. Garcia, a champion at 140 and at 147, and Rios, a former world champion. And it's good to have boxing back in the big city.
Yeah, and this is Garcia's first fight since the split decision loss to Keith Thurman, and that was I think that was over a year ago now. It's
already?
Yeah, it's been about a year since he's had a fight. It's a pretty long layoff for Garcia, but you've got to give Garcia the edge. He's an extremely talented fighter. He doesn't get hit a lot. You mentioned his counter punching. He's really able to get out of the way and make you pay for it. Even the loss to Thurman, that was a split decision. Obviously, it was a close fight, But that could have gone either way. I mean, that was a great fight. Thurman escaped. He's now in line to perhaps be the top welterweight out there. Even though that's debatable at this point because the division is so stacked. But this should be a good fight. Brandon Rios is no slouch. He's lost to Mike Alvarado, Manny Pacquiao, and Timothy Bradley. And the Bradley fight was his last loss, and that was a few years ago now when Bradley was still more or less in his prime. So I'm going to give the edge obviously to Garcia, but it should be an entertaining fight nonetheless.
We haven't had the opportunity to talk much about the Triple G Canelo Alvarez rematch, tentatively scheduled for Cinco de Mayo. It's supposed to be here. Perhaps they still have an undetermined site. Hopefully that bout is happening here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena.
You have a little side story to go with that, don't you?
Well, I still think that Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor are going to try to rain on the parade of Oscar De La Hoya. Maybe they're holding off until they announce the actual venue, because if they announce the venue, then we could get. I'm saying now on this will be May the 5th, on April 28th, the Saturday before. I could see them really getting De La Hoya fired up by having a Mayweather rematch against McGregor here.
Here's the thing, though. Mayweather makes it seem like he wants to fight in the cage now, right? He's releasing videos of him walking into the cage, sparring in the cage.
I think that's just for hype. I think they're going to be back in the ring, to be honest with you.
Why would McGregor...
Or if they go to the Octagon...
Why would anybody want to see that fight again?
If they go to the Octagon, you can't stay down for more than, 15 seconds?
So here's what I was getting at.
Special rules.
Here's what I was getting at. Yeah. No way in hell Mayweather fights in the cage. No way. Why would anybody want to see them fight in the ring again? We saw what that was. Mayweather played with him for 3 rounds, let him think he was in the fight whatsoever, and then destroyed him. The big bad Conor McGregor, who everybody said was going to knock Mayweather out, got knocked out.
Did you see the $100 million check? They had a copy of the check from the last fight, and whoever wrote it, like, I would be shaking, first of all, but it was all like in lowercase, like $100 million and 00 cents, and the signature was just like a kid. I'm like, is that...
Not everybody has great penmanship, Tony.
I know, but I went to
it's
Catholic
a retired
school.
boxer.
I know. It's usually
man.
I was like, at first I was like, no, I can't say that. No, that's out of line.
dig.
I just went to this LV Lights game, so everything I've said this last week is going unfiltered, uncensored. And then the Daytona 500 is this weekend.
Woo!
Right, Haley?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kurt Busch is the defending champion. And we had a chance to go out. You guys entertained us out there at the Speedway, and it's coming fast approaching, right? NASCAR back in town, first weekend in March.
You guys ramping up out at the Speedway, getting ready to go?
We're getting ready. Everything's, all the signage and stuff's going up. We got 2 weeks. But there is viewing parties for the Daytona 500 around town, too. So, like, South Point and a couple other places have some viewing parties if you want to go hang out, watch some NASCAR.
Restrictor plate races, those are my favorite.
Yeah. So did you? So you were out there. Like, how did the testing go a couple weeks ago? We were out there too, but we want to hear from you.
Yeah, actually, you should have came back the second day. They actually brought the fans around to like see the drivers and stuff, so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was. I mean, there was no complaints. Everyone is super excited to race in Vegas 2 times this year, and so that was part of the cool thing about the NASCAR test being there is that they're there for the NASCAR test. They're going to be here in 2 weeks, and then they're going to be here right before playoffs. So it was good for the drivers that were there to really get used to the track and everything. And I asked a couple of them about weather and stuff, and some of them were like, yeah, it's going to be hot. But I remember I actually asked Brendan Gaughan a couple months back. He was like, if anybody complains about how hot it is driving in Vegas, he's like, they should be in a different sport.
Right.
So
exactly.
That's what it is.
That's cool.
It's part of the job.
Do we have any comments there from
any
of our fans? Any of your fans?
Yeah. So, Jason Smith, in going back to baseball, he said, have Greg Maddux talk with the Braves to get a link, ? To which Daniel Mays said, Hotlanta Braves be righteousness.
That's good.
Oh, and then Chris William Wynn just chimed in, no way on God's earth does Floyd even step in an octagon with Conor. He would get humiliated.
No chance.
LOL.
No chance.
Richard said, NASCAR. Oh, Salvador Ramirez. Team Matt Gutierrez.
All right.
Woo.
All right.
What if
Take it.
What if we have you guys step in the ring together? Who would win?
I mean, it shouldn't be a contest. I outweigh the poor kid.
I mean, Tony's going to destroy me. Let's be honest.
and
hold on, is it the octagon or the cage?
Ooh, let's go octagon. That would be.
All right, I win.
Yeah, I think he might win the octagon. I'll get gassed early and often. Maybe they should put that in, instead of the Floyd fight. But yeah, that's going to be
because everybody wants to see that, Tony.
That's going to be way more pay-per-view views.
Yeah, but I mean, Cinco de Mayo, fast approaching, right? You have to promote the fight, sell the tickets. Yes, the fighters are already training, but when are they going to announce the venue?
It's got to be here. I mean, come on. I understand the whole Jerry World thing and going to Dallas and having.
Is that ever going to happen?
100,000 people or whatever the hell they want to have there, but come on.
And especially Cinco de Mayo, Vegas.
Cinco de Mayo and Vegas are synonymous with big fights, especially when Oscar De La Hoya is involved. And yes, he's not fighting, but it is his fighter. It's the biggest name in Mexican boxing right now. And Triple G, who's one of the biggest names in boxing, period. The first fight was amazing, controversial split decision. I mean, this fight will be every bit as good. I think can't you see somebody go down in this one?
But can't you see? Yeah, can't you see Floyd though messing
with
this?
Yeah,
I
can,
because
but
he's
I don't
already
think it's
started.
Gonna happen. I think he might play with it, but I don't see them rematching in the ring. And there's no way he gets in the octagon. There's just zero chance he takes that risk. That he takes that risk because he would be on the mat in 30 seconds and have a snapped limb or be choked out or ground and pound or whatever the case it is. He would get destroyed by McGregor, and just like McGregor got destroyed in the ring. It's a different sport. I understand they're both contact sports, but it's a different sport. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't last.
Haley, do you have any final comments?
Knights scored.
Again? So 3-0?
3-0.
I mean, we just have this impeccable timing thing. I'm not watching
the
game.
Love it.
Yeah, they've been giving up a lot of goals. Edmonton's pretty much done.
I think the Knights are sick and tired of losing to Edmonton. And
Oh, wait, I do have a comment.
All right.
I don't know. Matt has a bad knee. I remember when he blew it out playing flag football.
That must be Jason.
That is
He was
Jason.
on the field when it happened, some 10 years ago. No, God, that was...
He's starting to fall apart.
That was like 12 years ago. It's all right. Knee doesn't slow me down. I'm good.
Thanks, Haley. It's time for final thoughts. Matt?
All right.
He's watching the hockey game.
No.
Yeah. No.
This is in relation to hockey.
It's got to be, right? Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with the Knights.
Okay.
Stop freaking crying about everything under the sun, you whiny babies. The IOC had to actually issue a statement saying it was okay for Alex Rigsby and Nicole Hensley, the two American goalies for the women's hockey team, that it was okay for them to wear their helmets that have the Statue of Liberty on them. Because apparently this is offensive to some people because this can be misconstrued as a political statement. And you are not allowed to have political statements on your Olympic uniforms. It's the Statue of Liberty. It's one of the symbols of this country. Stop. Just stop. It's ridiculous that this was ever an issue. At first they said they were going to have to get rid of the helmets. They came back and said it's not political. It's okay. They can wear them. But what an absolutely ridiculous, whiny thing to complain about, having Statue of Liberty on their helmet. Every single player out there has the flag on their uniform. Mm-hmm. If that's not more of a political statement than the Statue of Liberty, I don't know what is. Stop crying. It's fine. Just let the athletes go out there, have fun, and compete for their country. That's my final thought.
Well, I'll tell you what's more offensive. The snowboarder with the hashtag Free Meek Mill. That's more offensive.
BBC.
My final thought is about your Raiders, Matt. And I feel as though, okay, here's my plan for Sebastian Janikowski. Have him come back, first game, and come on the field and kick an extra point, and then retire him as a Raider. But then I don't want to see Seabass. I don't want to see Seabass in another uniform. The Raiders said that they will not re-sign their former first-round draft pick from 2000, and it's a kicker who has scored 1,799 points. Why is this bothering me? As he's played 18 seasons, just the one more point, extra point, make it an even 1,800, retire him as a Raider, he goes away. And Janikowski did not play this past season, as many of you know, because he was placed on injured reserve, and Giorgio Tavecchio filled in. slightly above average kicker. And so I just hope that Janikowski just retires as a Raider and doesn't go anywhere else.
Just real quick, Janikowski's rookie season, he was about 66%. Tavecchio was 76.
He's above average, I said, slightly above average.
There you go.
Haley, thanks so much. Fly, Eagles, fly.
It's over.
What's your
Man,
next?
it's over.
No, that's what everyone at the
It's
Knights
over.
game was saying, but I don't care. I'll still revel in it for a little bit.
Have either of your teams lost yet, the Flyers or the Sixers?
Nope,
since
Sixers
they
and
won?
Flyers are...
Magical season. They're both going all the way.
Well,
No, they're not. What's the matter with you?
not getting carried away.
All right. Thanks, Haley. Thanks again to Matt Gutierrez, for Richard Giacovino, our producer, for Rick Strasser and John Castanino, who are enjoying that 3-0 Vegas Golden Knights
enjoying
lead.
it too.
And Luis Negretti, who is also absent tonight watching soccer somewhere, I'm sure.
UCLA.
I'm Tony Cardasco. So long for now. We'll see you next week right here on the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show. Good night, everyone.